For the record, my name is Jonathan Jones. It is my privilege to be your host and moderator for this evening. Today is Tuesday, and it's July the 18th, 2023. We're talking about the role of glutathione in a healthy heart. I mentioned before, we've said this several times, that by law, we're not allowed to say that, that any nutritional supplement will treat or cure any disease. So we never make that claim. And we don't want to give anybody the wrong impression that that's what we're trying to imply. So we'll often kick out our disclaimer, but we're talking today about the benefits of glutathione to a healthy heart, and that's a little bit of a different conversation. Got a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation here. Let's see if we can't get this PowerPoint presentation to display for you. So, the benefits of glutathione to heart health, and it's more important than you think. And you may be saying to yourself, "Why are we talking about glutathione? Why do you keep bringing up glutathione so much?" And part of the reason for that is because that's one of the cornerstone pieces within Dr. Prasad's formula. One of the things that it does extremely well is it raises glutathione levels, and that's lymphocytic glutathione levels. So it raises the most important aspect of glutathione in the body. So I want you guys and everybody to get to understand a little bit better what glutathione is and why you really should care about it. What makes it so important? Why is it relevant? Why should we even be talking about, glutathione? But please keep in mind that the FDA has not evaluated any of these statements that I'm making. I don't have a script. No one has told me what to say. The presentation I'm putting together is basically a reflection of my own viewpoint, my own thoughts. You'll hear testimonials, and know that testimonials are purely anecdotal. Results are atypical. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. This is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only. I'm not a medical doctor. Please don't do anything I say because I say it. Strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice and professionals that you trust. Engage makes no claims that Micro Daily or any of the Engage Global products will treat or cure any disease state. Speak to your doctor. That's an important thing, because they're the ones who are licensed and qualified to make recommendations and to give direction when it comes to healthcare matters. So that's critically important. So let's see if we can't take a look at Marie Houston's story before we start our discussion here. Many of you know Marie because she's been here on these Zooms a number of times, but there was one evening where she shared her thoughts, and it included so many different issues that I just thought it would be good if we take a few minutes to listen to it again and let that be a little portion of our discussion. But now, while this is booting up, my question to you, because I'm not sure who was here on Sunday or not, but how many of you were here this past Sunday when we talked about micronutrients and the heart? Just curious. Was anybody here this past Sunday? I think I saw Daryl, if it's the same Daryl. Okay, so nobody made it this past Sunday to the presentation. Well, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to try to access that if you can on YouTube. And remember, my YouTube channel is youtubejonathan.com. So you can go there and just go to the most recent link. I will also take and share. I send it out. In fact, if you're in my downline, I sent out a link to it so everyone had access to it. Okay, Evelyn was there and Belinda was there. But for anyone else, if you want to hear it, just go to my YouTube channel. And it was 3 interesting testimonials were presented this past Sunday. So I think you'll find them interesting. And if we have time, I'll play Jackie Gray's story toward the end of our discussion. Okay, let's see if we can get
okay, Marie
to tell her story.
Hi.
Go ahead, Marie.
Hi, Jonathan.
Question.
Yeah, nice to be here today.
Welcome.
But I'm 72 years old, and I have several. I have diabetes type 2. I have rheumatoid arthritis, hypertension, irregular heartbeat. Okay. And I've been on my meds for years. Now, I came to start the Michael Daily products this past November through Miss Roberta Rice. Thank God for her. And here lately, I got my report from my doctor this week. This is my primary doctor. And she was just praising how great I was doing. She said, "You are doing so well. Everything is normal." You know, she says, as a matter of fact, I take glipizide for my diabetes. She says, "We're going to take you off of that. You no longer have to take that." Okay. And also, yes, hydrochlorothiazide. She said, "You're off of that." And I went to my rheumatoid doctor a few weeks ago, and she gave me her report. And she was raving also and told me how great my numbers are and how I'm doing now. And as a matter of fact, I have the rheumatoid arthritis. So she had prescribed the methotrexate. And at the time that she did, she said, "This is a high-risk drug." But at that time, I didn't know that that's what they give people, the chemo for cancer. And so when I went back and she was talking, she says, "You know what?" Because I would take like 6 of those little pills once a week on Saturday, and also folic acid. But I wouldn't take the folic on the day that I would do the methotrexate. So anyway, she told me, she says, "You know what, Marie? You are doing so great. We're going to ease you off of that methotrexate." So I'm no longer taking methotrexate. And she said, "You no longer have to take the folic acid either." So that's 4 medications. I mean, the metho, I've probably been on it at least 2 years, maybe a little longer. I would have to go get my blood checked every 8 weeks and all of this. But I mean, I feel so good because the rheumatoid arthritis had me where I could barely brush my teeth. I couldn't comb my hair. And I like to prepare my meals. This right hand, it was through. I like to mash my potatoes and then whip them. I couldn't do that anymore. Okay. And I mean, I feel so good. I have all this energy. I can come up and down my steps now. I can stand in my kitchen and cook. I used to have to put a chair there to sit while I was cooking. No longer. I have all this energy, and the pain, no pain. None. I mean, I feel probably like I'm about maybe 52 as opposed to 72. And I feel like I could get out here and maybe run a mile. And I'm not exaggerating at all. This is what this has done for me since November, you know? And to get rid of them drugs going in my system, man, I give all the praise to the man above. He is wonderful. And I love these products. I will take them the rest of my life. And even some of the people that are under me that I've shared with them, I don't mean to take too much time. One lady, she couldn't walk. She was in a walker and had completely stopped driving. She's driving now, taking her daughter to her appointments. Okay. And she's 83 years old. And I can't say enough about the products. I do take the EMF. And I was only taking 6 of them a day of the EMF. And I take the collagen. I do take the probiotic and the brain boost and the eye boost. And it was another thing, my eyes. I had stopped driving at night. I can drive at night now if I want to, okay, because everything is so much clearer. I used to sometimes hit a curb. I said, oh, it's time to stop, you know. But I cannot speak enough on how great these products are and how great they work. I'm a believer. Okay, that's my story.
Thank you very much, Marie, for sharing your story.
Okay, so mixed in with all the different things that you heard Marie share, you notice that she said that that she had an irregular heartbeat. And part of the reason why, I think that that was an appropriate, story to share on this particular program tonight is because there's some scientists who believe that diabetes and heart disease should be categorized as the same disease. So one of the main things she mentioned in her litany of health issues was rheumatoid arthritis. She said diabetes and irregular heartbeat. And looking forward to hearing your story this evening also, Evelyn Burns. So maybe we can include you and your comments with AR. But scientists believe that heart disease and diabetes should be classified as one and the same. You think about the progression of any kind of disease, any kind of health issue. When your blood isn't working properly, when you're loaded with oxidative stress and free radicals, it affects you, not just one particular organ, not just one particular aspect of your body and your health and your wellness. It affects you. It could manifest in a number of different ways. And that's important for you to remember. It can manifest in any number of ways. But some person, depending on our genetic makeup, oxidative stress could manifest as one disease or another. A lot of it depends on, of course, what we ate, what was passed on to us from our parents, what's going on in our life, our emotional constitution, our height, our weight, all kinds of things. But it all started with the same thing: oxidative stress and free radical damage. So just keep that in mind. But mixed in with all the things that Marie Houston said, she said irregular heartbeat. And now she says she has energy. She's going up and down the stairs. She felt like she could go out and run a mile. This woman's 72 years old. And she says she feels more like she's 52. Turn back the clock 20 years. How many of us would like to turn back the clock just 5 years? 20 years is what she said she felt like. So that's huge. Okay. So, but remember, again, statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, and it's for information, educational purposes only. Testimonials are purely anecdotal. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Marie was just sharing her version of her story. You and I don't know the clinical circumstances surrounding her condition, and so we can't really speak to it. So what happens to one person may or may not happen to you. We strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. Now, that having been said, let me just give you a little bit of an idea of what glutathione does. And you remember the connection, right? Micronutrients, one of the micronutrients in the micronutrient formula that Marie just mentioned is called N-acetylcysteine. There's also alpha lipoic acid, and there's CoQ10 and other things. But in particular, N-acetylcysteine and alpha lipoic acid directly affect your body's manufacturing of glutathione. Now, if you try to eat glutathione, it just gets destroyed in digestion. But if your body can make glutathione, that's a game changer. That's one of the things that Micro Daily does really, really well, is it helps your body to make glutathione, along with supplying a huge number of what are referred to as exogenous antioxidants. So glutathione is endogenous. That's one that your body makes. Exogenous antioxidants are ones that come in from the outside. Okay, so all of that is wrapped up in the formula that was made by Dr. Prasad. So what does glutathione do? You can see from the screen here that glutathione, now it's powerful, okay? But it acts as a potent antioxidant, protects the heart from oxidative stress and reduces the risk of damage caused by free radicals. That's an important and significant statement right there, folks. That's important, and it is significant. Scientists have referred to glutathione as the master antioxidant. Okay, so that's kind of important too, because it can recirculate other antioxidants and relieve them of the free radical that is captured and send them back to go grab another free radical. So it is the master antioxidant. There is research that goes back decades now that low levels of glutathione has been associated with a higher risk of heart disease. In fact, I can tell you one story. Back when I first to tell me, send me a message anytime the word glutathione showed up on the internet. Anytime. I want to know if it was on the internet in some way. I got this one message that came, it was USA Today, as a matter of fact. And it said that researchers for the first time, this goes back to about the year 2004, 2003, 2004. So 20 years ago. 20 years ago. I'll never forget it because it changed things for me, because I laughed when I first was told that glutathione was so important. So I set out to prove, the gentleman wrong that told me about it. And I figured I could do that by let me see what comes up on the internet. This article came up, USA Today, and I think I still have it in one of my slides. So I'll show it to you next time we talk about the heart. But it said that researchers in Mainz, Germany, showed for the first time that low levels of glutathione precede a heart attack. They measured it. So when people are poised to have a heart attack, they notice that there's a precipitous drop in their glutathione levels. And just yesterday, or a couple of days ago, when I was doing some research here, this statement was again repeated on WebMD. And then I asked artificial intelligence to tell me about glutathione and the heart, and it repeated the same thing. Low levels of glutathione have been associated with higher risk of heart disease. The FDA's website even has a comment to that same effect. So this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And that's why it doesn't surprise me, and it hasn't surprised Dr. Prasad, every time someone turns around and says that their doctors have told them that their heart has healed itself. Because he's very well aware of that antioxidants have an impact on the body's overall immune system, specifically in raising glutathione levels. Glutathione aids in the detoxification process, eliminating toxins, reducing the toxic burden on the cardiovascular system. Anyway, we could just go on and on and on about that particular process, but detoxing is critically important. That's one of the things that makes a difference between whether our blood flows properly and not, which kind of connects us directly to this next point, nitric oxide regulation. Now, if you don't know much about nitric oxide, the very long and the short of it is that it's very important in maintaining healthy blood vessels. So your vessels, including your artery, they're kind of soft and spongy. When they get hard and stiff and rigid, that's what leads to things like high blood pressure. So it's nitric oxide, which is it's a very brief moment in time. It's like last milliseconds long, the transition and production of this nitric oxide cycle, but critical to maintain good flow of healthy blood. So detoxification, nitric oxide, super important, which takes us to what Dr. Prasad has been talking about quite a bit, the importance of good probiotics and prebiotics. That's all super important, because guess where this nitric oxide process is triggered? It's triggered in digestion. And you know what the first stage of digestion is? You know what it is? The first stage of digestion? It's in the mouth. So when you eat green leafy vegetables, things like spinach, kale, then there is, it is glutamate. I have to look it up and I'll look that up for you and confirm it. But, oh, no, excuse me. Glutamate is important. Glutamate, glycine, and cysteine combine together to make glutathione. So that's how glutathione is processed. But in particular, nitrates that come from those green leafy vegetables interact specifically with healthy, good bacteria in your mouth. That's what triggers the production of nitric oxide. There's a huge, it's a chemical process that takes place in your body, but it's all connected to nitrates that comes from green leafy vegetables that causes the body to produce this nitric oxide, all connected to good bacteria in your mouth. So you don't want to be destroying the good bacteria in your mouth, by the way. And we're going to have a discussion about that at some point. But if you're not familiar with things like xylitol, I highly recommend that you start getting into xylitol. Add that to your diet and chew like a piece of gum, a xylitol gum. Chew it after every meal. Finish your meals with xylitol. And then there's a toothpaste that you can get that also has xylitol. You want to get into that. That is very important. Glutathione also has anti-inflammatory properties. It has anti-inflammatory properties. So that means it's reducing inflammation in the cardiovascular system to support heart health. Now, inflammation in the heart, the Framingham study that goes back about 120 some years now, in Framingham, Massachusetts, they observed inflammation in coronary arteries where there's a buildup, not just of coronary plaque, because that's what most people think is cholesterol buildup in there. But they also noticed that the white blood cells go in there trying to solve the problem. That's inflammation. So the immune system literally becomes part of the heart disease. Glutathione has anti-inflammatory properties. So very important in balancing that part of the cardiovascular system and the health of the heart. It plays a role in maintaining cellular health within the heart, specifically mitochondrial function. And you know what mitochondria is, right? That's the energy in the cell. That's the little battery inside every one of your cells. Glutathione promotes healthy mitochondria. The reason why is because it detoxifies the cell, removes those hydroxy radicals from the cell. That's what does damage to the mitochondria. And another example that function takes place, think back to Marie Houston. You heard her say she had rheumatoid arthritis, right? And I think Evelyn Burns, I think that's what you're talking about, is RA, Evelyn, rheumatoid arthritis. Arthritis is a mitochondrial dysfunction. It's a mitochondrial dysfunction. So when you raise glutathione levels, it corrects issues with the mitochondria. Isn't that interesting? It's part of the fatigue diseases, chronic fatigue syndrome and things like that. Those are all in that same ballpark. So you can get glutathione precursors and glutathione, but you can get glutathione precursors from certain foods. And one of the ones that's very, very high in glutathione precursors is avocado. So you might want to add avocado to your diet. Broccoli is high in glutathione precursors also. And there are also benefits from the other foods that you see on the screen. But, the ones that you want are the ones that are high in glutathione precursors. You also want to make sure that the way you live your life is important. Getting rid of certain bad habits is equally as important as promoting the production of glutathione, because over-exercise can actually lower glutathione levels. Bad habits such as poor stress. Poor stress management can also create a problem as far as glutathione is concerned. And as mentioned here, they mention regular exercise. That's important, and a balanced diet. All those things are very important. And avoiding bad habits too, like smoking and alcohol abuse. The FDA website has a slide on there that mentions that those things are glutathione depleting agents. Tylenol, by the way, depletes the body of glutathione. Acetaminophen is what the FDA's website says. And one of the many books that Dr. Prasad has written is Fight Heart Disease with Vitamins and Antioxidants. So he has really delved into that subject quite deeply. And you can see a list of all the books that Dr. Prasad has written on the subject. And the one that fits our discussion right now is Fight Heart Disease with Vitamins and Antioxidants. But I also want to draw your attention to this work of art by Dr. Prasad as well. When he was working under contract for the Department of Defense, and the U.S. Congress had ponied up the $12 or $13 million that they did for his research, one of the patents that was secured for the MMF, military micronutrient formula, which is the same basic formula that now is called Microdaily Original. The patent that was granted for it in December the 8th, 2009 is patent number 7628984. And you can do the research and find this patent for yourself. It's still available online. That's where I found it. I just searched for it. And you see the title of it? Micronutrient Formulations for Pulmonary and Heart Health. Pulmonary and heart health. So Dr. Prasad was able to prove that his micronutrient formula has certain benefits, including pulmonary and cardiovascular benefits to the body. So we're not saying that his product is a treatment or cure or anything like that, but we are saying that's what the patent says. The patent does exist for that product, all centered around the research of Dr. Kedar Prasad. So there you have it. Now, before we take a look maybe at Jackie's story, does someone want to share their own personal story about some impact that you've had with your heart? Has anyone that's on here now had some particular benefits with your heart? If so, just go ahead, unmute yourself and share your story. Okay, maybe not, but I understand what Evelyn said. Evelyn Burns says she's dealing with rheumatoid arthritis, so the same thing that Marie Houston mentioned. But I'm going to play a few minutes of Jackie Gray's story for the benefit of those who have not heard her story, and to just have it included as part of this this particular recording, because it stands so amazing. And then if there's any questions, we'll take a few of your questions afterwards. Okay, so let's give this a second and see if it loads up properly for us. Turn my camera off.
Well, my name is Jacqueline Gray, and I was introduced to micronutrients about a year ago. And my husband and I, we decided to take a look at it and do some research on it prior to even taking the pills. However, during that particular time, especially at work, I was under a lot of stress. And my blood pressure was uncontrolled, unbeknownst to me. And I had to go in the hospital because I couldn't breathe. I knew prior to why I couldn't breathe, because basically I was in the hospital in 2017 with the same condition, but it was a little worse in 2000. No, it actually got worse in last March, when I was in a hospital. I had to be hospitalized for it. The doctor came in and said that my injection fraction was 29%, which was not good. And then when we did our follow-up visit, my husband and I with the doctor, he said to us that it wasn't, good. That was not a good place to be in. So we sought out a second opinion. And from the second opinion, the doctor told us that what I had could be reversed. However, he thought it to be a mitral valve prolapse. The mitral valve prolapse, he said, if it was severe, I would have had to have open heart surgery. But if it was not severe, then medications would control it. Being introduced to micronutrients, we decided that we would try that along with the regimen that I was on. And I would say a month later, because I had to go to the doctor every month at this point. A month later, when he did the ultrasound on my heart, he said that, no, I'm sorry. He did the CTA, which is a CAT scan of the heart, so he can get a really good look at what was going on with my heart. He said that the heart looked like it had started to repair itself and that I did not need surgery. So that was the first good news. The second good news came the following month, when he said that now my heart looks like it was into full repair, whereas the first doctor said that the injection fraction would never repair itself, it would never reverse, it would only get worse, and I would have to only control it. But now with this doctor and with taking micronutrients, that's the only thing I can liken it to, because that's what changed in my life when I started taking that. The micronutrients, the heart actually repaired itself and the mitral valve actually repaired itself. So the injection fraction went from 25% now to 49%, which the doctor was telling my husband and I was technically unheard of. Basically, he was shocked, and so were we, that my heart actually repaired itself. My sister, unfortunately, had a similar heart condition to mine, and she passed away December 3rd from the condition. And this was after I had told her about taking the micronutrients, but she didn't take it. And I did. And I'm still here to tell the story. So I'm extremely happy about that.
We're happy about that also. And you mentioned this was congestive heart failure?
Yes. Yeah, so it's a form of congestive heart failure. The doctor said that there are many, what people don't realize is there are many forms of congestive heart failure. My particular congestive heart failure came from uncontrolled high blood pressure and then my mitral valve backing up into my lungs. One of them where the flap would open and then close, it was fine. But when the flap opened, one of the flaps opened, the blood went back and it was like backing up into the heart and then overflowing into my lungs. So he said that was because the heart was stressed from the amount of pressure that was being put on it because of the high blood pressure. So yes, that was a form of congestive heart failure.
Have you been able to get your blood pressure under control?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, yay! Went to the doctor 2 weeks ago and my blood pressure was 129/60.
That must make you feel pretty good.
It makes me feel awesome. That makes me feel awesome. I mean, it's a scary place to be because you're talking about the heart. So that's a very scary place to be when your heart starts to malfunction on you. And you can feel, you can feel when that heart starts to go, because with me, my breathing was labored. I didn't even realize how labored it was. My husband realized, Kevin realized how labored my breathing was. And he kept asking, babe, what's wrong with your breathing? And then also my stomach was extended. And he said, no, something is not right. Something is not right. That's because the blood from my heart was backing up over into my lungs, and I didn't realize it.
Incredible. So someone introduced you to micronutrients, specifically Micro Daily. And how much of it were you taking, or are you taking now?
When I was diagnosed at the time, I was taking 6 a day.
6 capsules.
I was taking 6 capsules a day. So I would take 2 in the morning, 2 for lunch, and 2 at night, or 2 with my dinner. Now I'm taking 4 a day. So I take 2 in the morning and I take 2 before I go to bed. But on the flip side of that too, what I noticed is that even with my sugar, because I'm diabetic as well.
Oh, you got all kinds of issues going on here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But with my diabetes, I don't take any of the regular drugs that everybody else take. As a matter of fact, coupled with the Micro Daily that I take every day and another natural pill that I take, my sugar is controlled.
What do you mean by control? What kind of numbers are you looking at?
I'm looking at, whereas when I was taking, believe it or not, the Farxiga and the Junevia and all those pills and the glipizide that the doctors had me on, my sugar was 220 every morning. I would wake up.
And now?
And now my sugars when I wake up is 87, 100. It could even, sometimes I have to watch it because it'll drop to like 80 when I wake up in the morning. And some people don't believe me, so that's why I take pictures of it.
Well, send us a picture so we can share that with folks.
Okay.
Well, that's amazing, Jackie. Thank you very much for sharing your story. Folks will benefit from hearing.
Well, there you have it. And once again, we have to just try to make it clear that what happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Testimonies are purely anecdotal. You don't know the clinical circumstances surrounding that person's situation or other factors that may have played a role in the transition that they went through. But as you could hear, she says the only thing that she did different, she kept on her original regimen, but when she added specifically the food that's missing from food, micronutrients, that's when things started to change. And we're very sad to hear that her sister did not step in and take the same suggestion and go the same route that she went. But of course, we were very happy that that Jackie did. So, and I remember the day that I saw her showing someone the picture of her fasting glucose levels, and that's what triggered the conversation. Because I said to her, I said, "What's that?" She said, "Well, that's just a picture of my fasting glucose levels." I said, 89. That's pretty good. She says, "Yeah, I'm just so happy about it." I said, "What are you doing?" She says, "Well, I'm taking Micro Daily." I said, "Oh, okay. Can we talk about that?" And then that's when she went on to mention about the heart thing. I said, "Let's talk about this over Zoom and just kind of capture this so folks can benefit from your story." So that's where the whole thing came from, folks. So it's a beautiful thing to see that this can happen to someone. So get back with the person who invited you, and they will help you to get access to these amazing products. If you decide you want to add them to your diet, feel free to do so. And the Dr. Prasad's Choice Bundle, in my opinion, is the best option. It's the one that gives you the full range of everything that Dr. Prasad has done, and you just can't beat that, for the price. The one that I'm taking now is the Hydro. My wife and I both are doing the EMF Hydro. This stuff is really just absolutely phenomenal. Microdaily EMF Hydro EMF, it's referred to there. The powder, and just pour it into a glass of water or a bottle of water. I do 2 of them twice a day usually, and I have no health problems, so I'm taking it completely prophylactically. I don't want to have any health problems, and my wife is the same. I'm 61 and a half, and I don't take any medications. I've got to get back to walking. This last year threw me off terribly, so I'm out of my exercise routine. But I'm highly recommending everyone that you walk 7,000 steps a day. Highly, highly, highly recommending it, because that's what improves your chances of living longer. There's a decreased mortality for those who do not exercise. 70% increased mortality. So that's a higher death rate. 70% higher death rate for those who do not exercise. And exercise is simply walking 7,000 steps a day. Even if you just get up to 5,000 or 6,000 steps, just do the best you can. Park further away when you go to the grocery store. Instead of parking as close to the door as you can, unless you're disabled, park as far away as you can and get those extra steps in. And that will make a big difference in your longevity. So, okay, so we're going to wrap this up now, because there's another presentation coming up very, very soon. And here's a snapshot of the calendar of events taking place. And in the chat, we've also sent you the one for tonight. This is Dr. Court is talking about the optimal longevity series. So they're doing a bunch of discussions there about longevity, and that will be tonight. So you can jump on that one right after this one. But I do want you to make sure that you mark your calendar for Sunday. You can see there this coming Sunday. I won't be there, but Jeff is going to be hosting this coming Sunday the discussion about the gut brain. Is there a connection? So that's what you can look forward to this Sunday. And then the very last Sunday of the month, we'll be talking about collagen. Collagen is amazing when it comes to the heart, amazing when it comes to the brain, amazing when it comes to joints, amazing when it comes to your back and muscles and everything else in your whole body. We're all tied together by collagen. So collagen peptides is a big deal. Okay, so that is basically the end of our discussion for tonight. So I appreciate you guys joining us. If there is any last minute question here before we wrap up, then go ahead and ask your question real quick. But other than that, we are just about to just clock on out and say good night, so everybody can make it over to the other discussion there. So if you have a question, unmute yourself and raise your question. And don't forget, you can share the recordings of this. It's all found on YouTubejonathan.com. YouTubejonathan.com.